Hello everyone, hey, my name is Jake Sheldon. I am here again with my friend Danny Leibrandt. He is the owner of Pest Control SEO, a successful pest control marketing agency for pest control owners. So brought him on another video to talk about all things page speed today.
Yeah.
So appreciate you showing up. We got a few questions for you.
Absolutely. Happy to be here, Jake.
Awesome. So we're just going to jump right into it. The first question is, why is page speed so important for people?
Yeah, definitely. So we've already covered why conversion rate is so important. I'll give a quick recap there that essentially, if you have a lot of people visiting your pages on your website, you might have landing pages and such, you can literally actually get 2 times as many leads, assuming you just do a little bit of conversion rate optimization. And, let's say you have 10,000 traffic to a page and, you're getting, let's say, 100 people are converting. If you just do some conversion rate optimization and end up getting 200 people instead, that is a 2x increase in leads. Like that one is just mind blowing. So this is definitely some low hanging fruit. And one of the biggest factors of conversion rate and conversion rate optimization is page speed, especially regarding the website. So if people are, again, this can be any kind of platform, Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO, however people are getting to your website, this is really actually the first thing that they click on your site. Now they are kind of primed to buy. They are interested. They are clearly ready. Like this would be the worst kind of lead to lose. And yet, like one of the first components, there are many different components of the actual page, but imagine if you do everything right before that. You finally funnel them to the page and the page doesn't even load. Like the page takes 10, 20 seconds to load. And I actually mentioned
that happen, right?
Yeah, literally, it does happen. And like I mentioned before, people have the attention span of a goldfish. Actually worse. Goldfish have an attention span of 8 seconds. People have an attention span of 7 seconds. It might be 7.2 or something, which is just
going down.
Yeah, which is just mind blowing. So we really can't expect people to wait that long, especially now because the internet has evolved. The web has evolved where maybe back in the day, maybe when websites were just coming out and people were just starting to look for services and just starting to use Google, that maybe you would have waited a minute for a page to load and that was just kind of expected. But now speed is so important and people are used to speed. Like most of the websites you search up and click on, you ever search up, Instagram or Twitter, it's lightning fast. Yep. It loads right away. So anything that is different from that, it's like 3 seconds, 5 seconds. That's like a lifetime now. Because people are in like this short form loop now. So we really need to make sure that we are optimizing for page speed first. And like really also another way to think of this is obviously we have a funnel of how we're getting customers. So there's like the very top of funnel and we might be running Facebook ads. And again, you could argue there are different funnels here, but you could argue this is almost like middle funnel here. And really what we need to be doing is optimizing for each part of the top of funnel because that will open up the bottom of funnel. So if if the page speed is horrible, then nothing else matters because they can't even get to the bottom of funnel. Like you have, I forget the word, but essentially like your funnel is closed. The funnel comes down here and your funnel just completely stops here. So it can't let any water come through, right? However you want to think of it. Your funnel is closed off because of your page speed or because of something else. You need to make sure that your funnel is open all the way through. And that's why page speed is so important.
That's great. Which website hosting options offer the fastest speeds for pest control sites?
Yeah, definitely. So we talked about this before as well. I recommend using WP Engine, WordPress, and Cloudflare. So those 3 are really solid. That is like basically industry standard, not even pest control, but really just like across websites. That's like what every major website uses. And to go a little bit deeper on that, we don't need a crazy WP Engine plan. I think we can just get the standard one, which is $25 a month. Cloudflare, there is a free plan, which is still great. And, if you're really on a budget, you should do that. But most websites, you should probably be doing the $20 a month plan. Provides you a little bit more security, a little bit more stability. And WordPress, that actually doesn't cost any money to build because you're already paying for the backend. But then there might be plugins and such that you're going to need. But those core components, WP Engine, WordPress, and Cloudflare will be really great. Some people might build on other platforms and even argue that the conversion rate will be better. People might build on High Level or on Framer or these different platforms, and that's fine. Something else to consider here is SEO. And these platforms, part of the reason I mention them is because they're also the best for SEO, that they're the most secure, that half the internet is built on WordPress, that there is more schema and more information shared. So usually I recommend using those 3 platforms.
That's good stuff. What are the common mistakes that slow down the sites?
Okay, so one main one, and again, we mentioned this before, is big photos. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's filling up the entire page of my homepage, but it's actually just about how the image is submitted to the site. So you might unknowingly do this, and this usually happens when you take photos, especially on a professional camera, is because they're so quality, they will show up huge, as in the dimensions of the photo might be 5,000 by 3,000, which is huge. The image really, I'm not going to go into the exact dimensions because the, image optimizers will do this. But let's say, you have 5,000 by 3,000, really that should be like a 50 by 30 photo. So your photo is actually massive in Google's eyes, even though it looks the same to you. You might lose a tiny bit of quality compressing it, which is what you should be doing. But you will get back a lot of page speed. That is one of really the easiest things we can do there. And most people just don't know that, or they don't know how to fix it. There are plenty of different plugins you can use. There is, Image Optimizer Pro, whichever one. Just look up Image Optimizer in WordPress and use some kind of plugin for that, and that will really help. Something else that affects page speed is you might use a tool like PageSpeed Insights. You can do a search for PageSpeed Insights. That is a free Google tool that tells you how fast any given page on your website is. And a lot of times you'll see that it will say that there is too much JavaScript on the site. And usually what that means is you have too many plugins on the site. So I was mentioning WordPress. WordPress is a great website builder, and really we should be using it. That's kind of the standard. But a problem some people make is that they have way too many plugins on their site. So really we want to make sure that we're being we want to be careful with how many plugins we have. You don't want to have 50 plugins, let's say you hire 5 different agencies and one uses this set of plugins. And then, the other one sets up another 5, and then the other one sets up another 5, and another one sets up another 5. By the time we have that, the site's moving really slow now. So we have to be careful about that as well. Don't have any plugins that we don't need. And obviously be careful with that too, because removing some plugins could actually be really detrimental. So make sure you're actually a pro or consulting with a pro regarding this issue. But plugins can be really costly. And then something overall is just really actually the size of the site. If you have a lot of different pages, if you have a lot of content, you can expect the site to be a little bit slower, versus a site that is really lean, has 5 pages, barely any content. It's just naturally going to be slower because Google is not loading the whole site, but at least preparing to load the whole site. So that will slow down the site a little bit. Even that's not you don't have to worry about that too much, because there are huge sites that still perform really fast and they have to do extra optimization for that. But that's another thing to take into consideration. If you have a lot of plugins, if you have a lot of content, that's probably going to slow down your site.
Hey guys, real quick, if you guys are really looking to grow your pest control company, check out what we do at pestcontrolmillionaires.com.
Now, are there any plugins or tools additionally to what you just mentioned that can help improve that?
No, I just about mentioned all of the tools. I mean, overall, we want to make sure that we have some kind of core SEO tool or SEO plugin for our website. So kind of the standard one most people use is Yoast SEO, and they have a pretty good free plan. What we use is Rank Math. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's definitely better.
Math,
yeah,
right?
Rank Math. So that is a plugin on WordPress, and that is regarding everything SEO. And that is partially page speed, but still, you're going to want to download a completely separate plugin just for image compression and optimization, because that's such a big factor.
Okay. How often should you audit or optimize your website's page speed?
That's a good one. So obviously you want to optimize it to start. You realize it's a problem. Maybe you take on an agency like mine, or you're talking to a consultant and you realize like, dang, the page speed is horrible. Then we want to fix that immediately, obviously. So that's an immediate problem. We need to fix that right away. Moving on from that, I'd say at the very least once a month, but probably maybe more importantly, check when you're making big changes to your top pages. So let's say, one of your top pages is a Pest Control Chicago page. You're generating a good amount of SEO leads from it, and maybe even some other kinds of leads. We should be checking that more often. That's kind of like the 80-20 of like, if you have 20% of your pages generate you 80% of your results. We should mainly be checking those pages, because we can kind of assume that if most pages are similar, like we have the same layout for all of our different location pages, it'll just be different copy and different images and content within the pages. So as long as we optimize the top ones that are all about the same, then we can assume all the other ones are good as well. Because if you run a different page speed report across the whole website, it's going to take a while. You don't really need to do that, but definitely your homepage pretty often. That might be every week or so. And again, it's more so like when you're making big changes, when you are adding or removing plugins, when you're adding or removing videos, when you're adding or removing several images, those kinds of things, you want to do a page speed report and make sure it's still good.
Okay. And then in closing with this section, what are some other mistakes that we may have missed during asking these other questions? Are there any other mistakes that you can think of that?
Yeah. Okay. I've got an easy one. So one easy one is we really, in my opinion, we shouldn't have any animations on our pages. So animations, especially at the top of the page, usually slow it down a good amount. It's nothing crazy. And I already mentioned kind of the bigger ones, but this is an easy fix that might reduce the page speed by like half a second, maybe even a second. Especially like some sites I see go all out and they try to, there's an animation for the heading, and really it's also when they're combined. There's an animation for the heading, there's an animation for the header, there's an animation for, the first photo, the text. Like some people do an animation on every single thing, which, some platforms allow you to do. I've done that on like Framer, but it looks cool, I guess like landing page, but we want to make sure that that's not affecting our page speed. So that's a really big one that I think some people miss.
Awesome. Well, that's all I have for you in this section, Danny. Appreciate you answering those questions. I'm going to see you guys in the next video.
Awesome.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. I know that we really appreciate you guys taking the time with us here. If you guys have any questions, comments, make sure to throw them in the comment section below. And if you found this valuable, make sure to like and subscribe, and to share it with your friends who maybe own a service business themselves. Again, our goal here is to provide as much value to you guys as possible. Also, if you guys are really looking to grow your business, make sure to check out our website at pestcontrolmillionaires.com. We'll have the link below in the bio, and we'll also have a free school group for you guys to check out. So thanks for watching.